Hi, guys. Welcome back to another episode of Girlfriend's Guide Podcast. I'm your host, Tati.
I'm your host, Ellie.
And we just want to say welcome back and thank you. We needed a little mental break from the last time, so which is why you guys didn't get an episode. But always thank you for your support, and we're happy to be back.
We're back, better than ever. You know, it's always good to get some rest.
I'm over here thinking the last time we recorded.
That was before we went to St. Martin.
Really?
Yeah, it's been a long time.
So then this episode can go either way.
Yeah, there's a lot of catch up.
So yeah, okay. So this can't, y'all. I'm on a time crunch. This can't be a long episode because I want to have an episode dedicated to the catch-ups that have happened in St. Martin.
Yes.
With both of us.
We can do trip St. Martin episode, and then I don't know what this episode's based off. This is your episode, so we'll do a flow.
So yeah, we won't see. I was like, never mind. Let's just do a catch-up episode. But since everyone loves to say that everyone cares about Mother's Day and not Father's Day, I can't go ahead and contribute to that by saying skip this episode because this episode is dedicated to fathers.
Aww.
So I'm gonna not be like everyone else, and I'm gonna put the fathers on, and this episode is dedicated to fathers. So then we'll have another episode sometime soon just about catching up and all of that.
Yeah.
So, but is there any other small catch-ups you want to talk about?
Small catch-up, I guess. Oh my gosh, guys. You know, we're still getting used to it. There's gonna be, y'all gonna see me looking at Tati, y'all gonna see me looking at the camera. I'm still getting used to the arrangement, but bear with me. But small catch-up is, y'all, I'm a fiance.
That's not small. That's
big
not
catch
small.
Big
and
catch-up.
That's the only little bit y'all gonna get because we're gonna save everything else for the episode.
Okay, let's rewind it back. Big catch-up. I'm a fiance.
Big fiance, not small fiance.
Big fiance. Okay. Big fish. We in the big league, okay?
Period.
Big league.
But that's all we're gonna say on that.
All. Yeah,
that's all.
You guys gonna have to stay tuned for the whole story and the whole catch up. There's a lot of catch up. You guys can get minor. This is the only catch up y'all getting.
Period. Well, so moving on to Father's Day. By the time this comes out, I think it's coming out. Y'all, I got allergies. I am so sorry. The coughs is crazy.
I'm sorry.
Drinking water. That's why as well. Yeah, I think this comes out maybe the week before Father's Day, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't know, because I really don't know when Father's Day, it changes every year, just like Mother's Day, so I don't know. But I just wanted to say, have this episode dedicated to our dads, because I feel like even just us, we talk about our moms a lot on this podcast in general, but I don't really think we dive deep into our dads. But I always feel like it's because my dad doesn't annoy me as much. No offense to my mom.
God
he
bless.
Doesn't annoy me. So there's not much to really say about him.
But the thing is that Haitian mothers really
they
the energy is so much that there's just a lot to talk about with Haitian mothers.
Yeah,
where dads, Haitian dads are more of like chill in the background.
Yeah,
they don't
really pop out much unless they really need to.
They give you your space. You have they have their space.
So that's why I feel like we don't really talk about our dads or just like father-daughter relationships as much.
Yeah.
I feel like as much as people say women have daddy issues, maybe Haitian women specifically have mommy issues. So I feel like, that's probably a reason why we talk about, no offense to our moms, we love them, ride or dies, but good and bad, pros and cons. Pros obviously outweigh the cons, but pros and cons.
Yeah, but the older I'm getting, the more I'm realizing that I'm giving my mom the grace to just be who she is, because we grew up in two different times. We grew up in two different countries. When I'm just like, this is okay, this is what it is, my mom's like, no, this is abomination, this is blasphemy. And I'm like, how is this
right?
Show me.
Grace.
And but they never asked why. Like, I'm like, she says, oh, you can't do X, Y, and Z. I'm like, why? And she's like, because you can't do this. I'm like, where does it say I can't do that? Where she never asked questions growing up, it was just like this. So now she's trying to teach me something that she doesn't even know why.
Exactly. You see? And like you said, giving them grace. I've learned to do that a lot too, because I'm just kind of like, sis, you don't know better. And even if you don't know better, that's saying you can't teach an old dogs new tricks. You're already in your 60s living this way. Who am I to try to really change you and expect it to work? So I've just learned, obviously, put up boundaries, but there's certain things at the same time. It's like, sis, why do you keep getting mad at something that you know she's not going to
You know
change?
what's so crazy? We literally said that we're not gonna do an episode on moms, and we're
And
literally here
they
we
just take
are.
over.
Here we are.
They
Like,
take over.
I don't want you guys to take this the wrong way, but like, I literally have my friends and I get together and cousins, and we really just vent about mothers.
Yeah.
Like, we literally
Because
have
it's just,
vent sessions about our mothers. Love my mom dearly, love
love
her
her
to
to
death.
death.
I don't know where I would be without her, but it's just
But it's like,
personalities, just like
yo,
culture, completely different. Where like, do we
exactly.
really have vent sessions about our dads? No, not at all. We
No.
barely just like,
My
we
dad
don't
is
really talk
chilling.
about it.
No, not
We
at
don't talk
all.
about them. Like, we talk about like, oh yeah, our dad's like, we really be saying on the phone, yeah, our dads are chill. Like,
Yeah,
God bless his
that's
soul.
really it. God
God
bless.
bless. Yeah.
So, well, moving on to what this episode's supposed to be about, our dads. So I just want to know, when you think of your dad as a dad, what is, I would say, 3 words you would describe him in that, like, to you overall describes the relationship you had with him
Yeah.
as your father? I
Yeah.
can go first because I just sprung this on you.
No, no, it's
Um,
cool. Yeah, go ahead.
I would say my dad was very involved.
Mm-hmm.
My dad is very tough, like I yeah, he's tough. And then I would say, not selfish, but also selfish in the sense that he is going to put himself first when he needs to, no matter
Mm-hmm.
who else suffers. And when I say no matter who else, even me. And that's something I kind of admire, because I feel like, especially as parents, and especially me being a mom in the future, it's like your kids first, your kids first, your kids first. And
Mm-hmm.
it's now we're getting to that, yo, if you're not good, how can your kid be good? Like, I've said this on the podcast before. When I was 15, my parents split up. My dad moved out the country for a year because he just needed to take his time and be away. I remember he came back my senior year, excuse me, my senior year of high school. And then, like, so for a year, over a year, I didn't see my dad. But it's like, I was upset and I was confused and I was hurt, but I was just like, you just left this long, over 15-year relationship, and you got to do you, and you got to take your time to heal from that. And granted, like I said, it was selfish in the sense of like, well, you're leaving me, and you're technically leaving mommy to take care of me. But at the same time, I don't know what it would have done to him for him to stay here.
Yeah.
So I admire that he could put himself first, despite what anyone else thought, despite what anyone else said. Involved, because my dad, like, when I was little, I did not like my mom. Like, I was just like, no, it's like, Papi's my parent. Like, not who are you? Like, I know you're my mom, but like, no, because my dad would be the one. My dad was a taxi driver. My mom was a CNA. So obviously my dad had the flexibility with his schedule. So my dad would be the one coming on field trips with me. Like, my dad was that dad that everyone knew. It was a random, my mom was like, oh, hey, they'll let my teacher, like, oh, hi. Everyone knew my dad. He took us on field trip. He was the volunteer dad in my preschool class. And even up to middle school, it was always like that. High school, he took me to my father-daughter game night at my high school. Like, he was always an active and involved father, more than my mom was, because she didn't have that flexibility with her schedule. And then tough, because literally, I remember being little, my dad would get out the car ready to fight. Like, our neighbor, like, fight. And I would call my mom on the phone crying, like, Mommy, Papi's gonna get arrested because he's gonna hit somebody and someone's gonna. Like, my dad is very like, oh, you mess with me? Stay in the car, lock the doors, I'm gonna go handle this. And I'm just
Mm-hmm.
like, you shouldn't do that because I'm scared. But those are the adjectives that I would describe my dad: involved, tough, and selfish.
Yeah, those are really good ones. I would say for me, three. It's three, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If you can think of
Three.
three.
Yeah, three adjectives would be number one would be my best friend. I have like a weird relationship with my dad where we're like, me and my mom, we don't crack jokes with each other. Like, my mom's playful, but me and my dad, we can like crack. I can show him something on Instagram and he'll laugh, right?
Yeah.
Where compared to my mom, I would show her and she'd be like, man, I get a lecture. Like, you know? Or me and my dad, we have like these weird games where we're driving and we give people nicknames while we're driving. Like, we see someone on the street, we're like, oh, that's Bob. You know, like, it's a weird friendship relationship. I always said that's my best friend, right? So we always had that relationship where growing up, my mom, CNA, and she would be at work 24/7. So when I'm at home with my dad, it was just us. Like, I always joked with my mom that my dad's the best cook. Like, he's better than her. But my mom's a really good cook. But it's because I spent so much time. My dad was the one cooking. I love his food. The food could be terrible. No, it's never terrible. But, like, that's my dad knows how to cook. Like, my mom's always like, you're always gonna take his side. She'll be like, oh, your dad did this and this, and like in a joking way, and I'll be like, oh, it's not his fault. So it's just like we always had each other's back, and as surprising as this is, I don't think I can get in trouble for this anymore because we're grown. But growing up, like, Haitian parents, they hit you, right? So my mom was always the one that would like give you that discipline of like spanking. My dad never like spanked me in my life. So it was just always, we had that relationship.
Me, my dad
We
never.
always had that relationship where my mom was I was scared of her in a way of like, oh my gosh, she's gonna hurt me. Not hurt, because I say this, I don't want like people who are not culture like, listen to this. Yeah.
Haitian, Caribbean, or African, or any other culture, you guys get what we're saying.
Yes. She never like hurt me to the point that I wanted to be like, oh my gosh, like this is too much. Yeah. But like my dad would be like the one who would give me like that. I would feel disappointed knowing I did something wrong. He'd be like, he'd just give me that look like, really? But he would never hit me. And I was like, oh, wow. So I had more respect in a way from him in that way. Like, oh, that would really hurt him,
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's like my best friend. I'm on the phone with my dad. I think in college, someone was just like, oh, like you sound more relaxed on the phone with your dad compared to your mom. Because when I'm talking to my mom on the phone, it's more of like, how you doing? How's this? How's that? When my dad will be like, hey, did you see like the basketball game, or did you see the football game? Like, we're like chill like that. So that's like that's my best friend. Another one would be supportive. My dad has always been supportive in school. My dad would always take my first day of school off, so he would just always have that off. Like he would always drop me off. I remember in 8th grade, he's like, do you still want me to drop you off because you're getting older? I'm like, what you mean? Yes. I'm not taking the school bus. You're pulling up to school with me in the like where all the big kids are, where no one's dropping them off. I'm like, no, like I love that. And I remember freshman year too, he did the same thing. So yeah, he's always supportive, always had my back. I remember the first for those who know, I like grew up in Haiti for a bit without my parents. So it's just like, it's always weird thinking about that because for a good 3 years, I didn't know who my parents were. So then like I came here to the US and then had to reconnect with my parents when I was 5. So then when I started school, I didn't know how to speak English. I had a really hard time speaking English. I had a really hard time in my first grade class. And I remember my teacher called in my dad to talk to my dad about like how I'm doing in class. And she was just like, not giving a positive energy of like how she's teaching me. I'm not sure how the conversation went, but I remember my dad going off on her, like for sure. Like my dad was like, maybe you need to be more patient with her, blah, 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 blah. And I remember just sitting there and my dad was just like, let's go. And I'm like, oh, okay. I was only like 6 or 7, but I just remember like, my dad's just like, I don't even know exactly the conversation, but I just know right there that he had my back in that point. And another thing I would say is that he's loving. Like my dad, we're both the same kind of person where we don't show affection, but he has like the biggest heart when it comes to me. Like my mom always said that he would always put me first in anything. Like if he had to save anybody, it would be me. Not even having to think twice. My mom's like, at this point, he has a daughter. He don't got a wife.
Yeah.
Like I'm his baby. Like he would do anything for me. He loves me so much. Like if I had to be like, Dad, I need blood. Like he wouldn't even think twice, and he would just, do that. And yeah, those are the 3 adjectives.
You see, do you think, because like I said, and it's so weird because when you have a podcast with your best friend, you sometimes got to go in your mind and be like, did we say this on a podcast or was this individually for you to merge the two? But like I said, we've had conversations privately. We've had conversations on this podcast about how being a Haitian girl and dealing with Haitian moms sometimes is toxic or can,
Mercy.
contribute to us being in therapy and certain things, and how do you feel like you have any of those quote unquote negative effects from your relationship with your father?
Ooh, why that's so hard to answer? And the answer is no. Like, I don't. I think as the thing is that, like, again, my mom's more Haitian moms are more vocal. Even though me and my dad might have opposite views, we recently had opposite views on something. My mom's the one that brought the issue up, and he just hasn't brought it up. Like, he doesn't talk about it with me.
Yeah.
Like, and to be honest, I'm okay with that. I am okay with that because it's one of those views of like, you have your view, I have my view. I am a grown woman. So let's keep it like that. Because when we discuss it, it's going to be an argument. Yeah. So he knows how to be like, okay, let me just keep it to myself. Let me not talk about it with her, even though he's unhappy about it. But honestly, that's parents and a child's relationship. I feel like oftentimes your child's going to do something you don't like, but as a parent, your role is to just either, as long as they're not doing anything too bad, your role is just to like guide them along the right path if it's wrong. But if it's not bad, it's just like keep your opinions to yourself. So you don't save the disagreement. But other than that, to answer your question, no, I think most of it is just my mom.
And guys, this is not a bashing mom episode. It's not. It's just to highlight that like I said, everyone talks about girls having daddy issues, and I'm just like, not saying that's not true or you can't have both, but it's like we don't hear about dads in a positive light as much as we hear about moms. And even when moms give us issues, it's still, but that's my best friend, that's my ride or die. I love it. It's always, they can do wrong, but they can do no wrong at the same time.
Yeah.
And it's like, even when our dads don't do wrong, we don't hype them up. So it's like, you deserve to be hyped up.
But my dad, even though he does wrong, I still have him on a high pedestal. Be like, oh, it's okay, Dad. Yeah. Like, it doesn't hit the same as when my mom would say something. If my dad was to say something, I'll be like, oh, that hurts. I'm disappointed. When my mom says something, I'm like, all right, let's get into this. We arguing.
Yeah, exactly. That's the same way with my dad. I would say my mom probably has more that I've had to deal with, because obviously, like, when my mom and dad split up, I lived with my mom. Like, I've lived with my mom my whole entire life versus my dad. It's like, I'm about to be 30 in 2 years. So half my life at this point was with my dad, and the other half is technically without him in terms of living in the same house. So it's like, there wasn't really much opportunity to have a lot of issues because it's like we don't live together.
Right.
I would say, though, the one thing is like, because we haven't lived together, I feel like he doesn't know me as much as my mom, which makes sense too, because I'm a girl. And like I said, half of my life, those teenage pivotal years, those early 20 years where you're really developing yourself, he's not there to witness firsthand. So
I think that's just in general. I feel like Haitian mothers know their daughter so well. As much as I get upset with my mom, I could be having a tough day, whether it's work that hits me and she calls me. I'll be like, hi, Mom, how are you? And she's like, are you okay? Like, she'll pick that up, where compared to if I talk to my dad, it's just more of like,
he may not pick it up there.
He doesn't pick it up, but your mother really knows you, where compared to your, I don't know, Haitian fathers, they don't really, maybe don't understand their daughters as much. Yeah. Or
like, I always wonder, I was like, if I was a boy, would it be different? Like, I really don't know.
I don't even know the relationship. I think we would need to get a guy on this podcast to know what's the relationship between, like, we already know how Haitian mothers treat their Haitian son.
But I really feel like Haitian sons have issues with Haitian dads. I feel like it's like the opposite. I feel like it's gender and gender.
Yeah, it might just be that, because I do hear more Haitian sons talk about their dads just the way we talk about our mothers. Moms. Yeah. I never really hear Haitian sons really talk about their mother, like the light that we do. And just and just in general, the way you see Haitian sons interact with their mothers, it's just like, and then you see it with a Haitian mom with their daughter. And it's just like, it's not the same. I don't care what anybody says.
Out here doing what he does, and you're just like, But versus me, God forbid I wear a short skirt, whole world is over. Ugh. And it's like, I'm gonna need you to stop because I don't like that. I mean, that's one thing. It's like, at this point, I have no choice but to be okay with being an only child, you know? Mm-hmm. But I always said, if I always wanted an older brother, and I feel like God knew what he was doing not to do that, because I know for sure if I seen my mom treat him better or differently than me, we would have had way more problems than we already did growing up. Right. Because it's like, we're not doing this. Like, yeah. Stop.
They do. I don't care what anybody says. You all can fight me if y'all want, but I really do think Haitian sons get better treatment.
They do, 1,000%. Maybe not from the dads, but definitely from the moms. Yeah. I forgot where I was going. But yeah, so I feel like me and my dad, maybe like he may not know me as much as this older version, but like you said, I feel like that could also be pretty typical for a Haitian girl growing up in general. And I said, like, I had that added, he wasn't there, but like he's also just the type that, like, my car, like whoever I marry, there's certain things that he's gonna have to fill my dad's shoes for. Like, the way my mom can tell when something's wrong with me, like emotional, the minute I have a sniffle and I don't even realize I'm sick, my dad picks up on it. I'm like, you're sick? Did you get by Robitussin? You need to buy this kind, the blue bottle. Like, and then randomly he goes, oh, come by the house. I got you medicine. Like, my dad, I don't know if he was a nurse in his past life, but he is the one. Like, even when I was younger, like, we all know our Haitian mothers, they make us tea, blah, blah, blah. But that was my dad, too. Like, it wasn't just on my mom. My dad would be the one buying me meds, making me the tea, making me the soup, like, all of that. He was that hands-on dad. He would also, to this day, I like my dad's legging better than my mom's. To this day. Saying. And they know that. Like, my dad was very macho, provide for the family, protect for the family, but I'm also going to cook. I'm also going to clean. I'm also going to take care of my child when she's sick. So my husband's going to have to be able to do that. Anything with my car, that's my dad.
I'm telling you, the way my dad is so active in my life, like, car, I literally, when I got Nova, that's my car's name, guys. When I got Nova, I think I've only put gas in Nova twice or 3 times. And I've literally had Nova for 2 years, guys. Like,
everything else is dad.
And honestly, I tell my fiance that now. I'm just like, listen, this is what he doesn't. I'm like, I don't tell him, oh, you have to do it, but I'm like, I kind of like, I don't like pumping gas.
If you can't, I can.
Yeah.
And I don't expect it all the time, but if this could be more of a your responsibility thing, I would like that.
Yes, like, I would like for you to do that. And just like, there's certain things that my dad just, I don't have to say. Like, he just handles. And I'm just like, I would appreciate if the man that is in my life just does the same thing for me. Because to be honest, I was spoiled in that category. Yeah. And I would like to stay spoiled. Like, I'm not changing. Like, if you're gonna replace the
first male figure in my life,
like, just keep doing the same thing.
Like, I think there's only one time I've driven my car to get an oil change. Yeah. I think everything, my dad. Yeah. Tires, my dad. Brakes, my dad. Something's wrong with my car. Papi, it's making this kind of noise. My dad would literally mimic the noises. Is it this noise? Is it this noise? And he figures it out. Oh, it's this. Bring it to me. That's what I need.
It's important.
I don't have time.
Yeah. Absolutely. And honestly, if when a man comes into your life and you tell him those things and he's like, oh, okay, like, you're spoiled, like, no, and I'm not negotiating. I'm spoiled
because I have a daddy who loved me.
Right. And a daddy that showed me what kind of man I need in my life.
So that means you're not going to be doing this for our daughter?
Right.
If you can't do it for me, that means you can't do it for her.
That's really wild. I always say this again. I always look at my mom and like, Ilda, you did a good job. Like, one day in my life, I really do want my daughter to look at me and be like, Mom, you did a good job. Like, I'm thankful for my dad. Yeah. Like, you did a good job. You're lucky. Like, I couldn't have had any better father. Obviously, there's areas that, there's always improvement. Obviously, but like,
no one's perfect.
No one's perfect. But I'm like, girl, the way the streets is ghetto right now, I feel like our generation, it is only a blessing if we receive a great man at this point in life. So
what I've learned to, like, the way I've had to give my mom grace for a lot of things, I've had to learn to give my dad grace too, in the sense of, like, my dad is not emotional. He is like, he's not the I love you. He's not the come home, give me a kiss, give me a hug. Like, it's on certain occasions. like birthdays, Valentine. That's one thing. My dad, he's gonna tell you happy birthday. He's gonna tell you happy Valentine's Day, Merry. He's the holiday guy. He's gonna wish you, and that's when he'll add the love you at the end. But in person or on the phone, we don't say that. But he also, I've learned to understand, he shows it in a different way. And my mom says it till this day. One thing about my dad, he's gonna give gifts. Aww. Whether it's gifts or whether it's money. That's how he's gonna show his love. And like, that's one thing I can say. My dad, especially on my birthdays and Valentine's Day and Christmas, always made me feel special. Like giving me digital cameras. When CD players first came out, got me a nice little pink CD player. And he would do that. My best friend Cindy, we grew up together, do that for her too. My birthdays take us both out on shopping sprees. Like, he shows his love in a different way. And my love language is words of affirmation across the board, with no matter what really type of relationship I have, family, friends, you know. And I've had to understand in my mind, it's not that he doesn't love you, and it's not like he doesn't want to say I love you. It's just like, he shows his love in a different way, so don't discredit him. Yeah. And I think especially after not living with him for so long, it's so easy to think like, oh, the connection's not strong, he doesn't love you the way a dad should. And it's like, no, he just loves you in a different way, and he's loving you at the most capacity that he can. And that's why when people will say, like, you know, question, oh, do you think your mom loves you more? Or do you think your dad loves you more? I think my mom loves me to the most she can, but she shows it in a way that I can accept better for me. I know my dad loves me to the best way that he can, but it just doesn't necessarily match the way I receive love. Right. So me and my mom are more compatible in that love area. But I will also say, truthfully, I would say, both my parents would die for me. Like, they would take a bullet for me, but my mom would do anything for me. Right. And I don't know if that's the mother in her. Like, when my parents separated, it was very bad. Like, very, very, they didn't get somewhat cool to like when I was in college. So a lot of the things my dad wouldn't do for me was out of spite towards her. And I had to grow up to understand that, like, unfortunately, you're just in the middle, but it's not towards you, it's towards her, but you're being affected. So from sophomore year of high school till all the way my last year of college, my mom paid tuition by herself. Wow. And mind you, I have a stepdad, but he also had 3 of his own kids. So everything me, when it came to education, that's thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, was her. Yeah. She bought my car herself. She paid off my car. God bless that woman herself. So there was a lot of resentment I had for my dad because of that, but understanding that it wasn't about me. It was about punishing her, unfortunately. Yeah. But that's what I said. At the end of the day, my mom would do anything for me because she's had to do anything and everything for me. My dad hasn't had to do that. Not saying he wouldn't, but the opportunity hasn't presented itself. So they would both die for me. But if I'm going to call someone like, yo, I don't know, I need 50,000. What do we do? My mom, because she will do anything because she's proven that already. Right. So yeah, anyone who has parents who are no longer together, we're dynamic. Like, you try not to pick a side. You try not to say one loves you more than the other. But it's really all about, like, understanding them in their own positions. But
they both know you differently. Like, each of them have their own perspective of you, you know? Like, each of them know you in a different way. And each of them love you in a different way. So you just have to accept, you know, there's going to be characteristics you like of your mother, and there's going to be characteristics you like of your father, you know? Yeah. You're not going to get both of both worlds,
the perfect of each.
The perfect of each. It's just the way it is, but
it's impossible. Yeah. I think my last question, sorry guys, because like I said, I'm on a time crunch, so it's going to be a short episode. What characteristics of your father that you saw that you would like your husband or the future father of your children to have, and which ones would you not want them to have? Oh. And like I said, I could go first again. Go ahead. These questions. I think the involvement my dad had, especially when I was younger, in school and stuff like that, I want my husband to have that with my kid. I always say, if my daughter don't like me and she loves my husband more than me, I'm okay with that. Because girls are a lot, and if you need to go to daddy, that's fine. If daddy is your favorite parent for a while, I'm okay with that, because that was the relationship with me and my dad. Like, my mom would come get me like, yo, I'm with my best friend. Like, we're just chilling. It's Saturday. We're listening to Haitian music. Why are you bothering us? Like, every time my dad would get aggravated at my mom, like, I automatically took my dad's side. I'm like, yo, you're bothering us.
Exactly.
Leave us alone. So I don't mind if my daughter has that bond with her dad. Like I said, all my field trips when I was little, it was my dad. I don't see my mom at all. And I feel like that's also very rare for certain traditional Haitian households. It's more so the mom being involved more or whatever. But like I said, my dad was Mr. Mom. Like, he was always involved in stuff like that. So I definitely want that. I think one thing I don't want my husband to have with our daughter is my dad is, like I said, he's tough. That's also with his words. He's blunt. Like, he's that typical Haitian guy, on the phone. Like, he just doesn't have a filter, and his words can hurt. And he doesn't even realize it because that's not what he's doing on purpose. That's just who he is. And I've come to realize that. But also in therapy, I feel like for me, therapy makes me a lot more, not sensitive, but aware of how things impact you. Like, before, things could happen to me and I wouldn't connect them to certain things or whatever. But once you're in therapy and you dive deep into your life and in your past, and you realize how things in your past make you who you are and how it affects you, you become a lot more heightened and aware of how certain things affect you more. And now, because of that, when my dad says something I don't like that's really rude, before I'd be like, yo, that's rude. But now I'm just like, oh my God, like, why would he say that? Like, I internalize it a little bit more. And I don't ever want my husband to be that blunt and that, like, no social cues that you're hurting our daughter or our son or me or anyone because you don't realize that, hey, not everything needs to be said or not in that way. So that's one thing my dad has that I don't want to trickle down onto my children.
Okay. So we're saying one of each, right?
Yeah, one thing that your dad has that you want your future father of your children to have, and one thing that he has that you don't.
Right. So one would be that his love, like my dad's love is so like my dad was the one father, not embarrassed to say I love you, like always saying I love you. But he has like that he's not as like, oh, huggy, like, kissy to you. So my mom's more like that. So my mom would come and hug me and I'm like, oh, get away. Yeah. But then to my dad, I'm like, oh, Papi, come here.
Yeah, the one who doesn't give it to you, you want it from.
Yes. So I would hug him. But, I would love the father of my child to like be the same way to my daughter, and my son, future son, to give them the same love. That love is amazing. To feel that love, a father's love is a whole different feeling compared to your mom's love. And I can definitely understand. I don't have daddy issues, but I could sometimes I really think to myself, I'm like, wow, like a father's love feels so different. I'm like, to know that some girls don't know that their fathers don't love them, I'm just like, oh, like I could understand where the issues come from and where I would seek that in different ways. So I'm just like really blessed, and I would hope that my child, my daughter and son get to experience that same love. And it's so funny that you mentioned the verbal communication. It's just Haitian fathers maybe in general are missing it. My father is a very tough guy. Like if he was to get into arguments, it's just he don't hold back on what he needs to say. I am the same way. I know that's one of my like bad qualities. If I'm in an argument, I'm not holding back. I'm gonna say exactly what I have to say. It's gonna hurt. And my dad's the same way too. And we've got into some arguments. We don't get into a lot of arguments, but when we do get into argument, he'll say things. I'm like, oh, that hurts more. I'm like, I'd rather get into arguments with my mom. It's it's clean. We're ready to argue back and forth. But when my dad says it, it kind of hushes me, and I'm like, I lose every argument
because if I argue back, I'm gonna cry because what you said was really mean.
Yeah, I kind of like, oh, I didn't see that coming.
Right? This how you feel? Okay.
Like, that's why your head is big. And I'm like, oh.
Okay. Right? Okay. Like, and relax.
I kind of just like lose it, like, okay, and I just go away and I just go cry in a corner. So I would want my future father of my kids to be more aware on how he communicates with the kids, sit down with them, try to understand their feelings. And, if something hurtful is said, a difference between my mom and dad, if my mom says something hurtful, she'll come back and be like, okay, I'm sorry I said that. My dad, we keep the same energy on to the next day.
Yeah, because no one's apologizing.
I said what I said. Let's keep going. And then tomorrow we're laughing. I'm Papi. Yeah. My mom's looking at us like, didn't y'all just argue?
Right. Because my mom, it'll be a couple of days silent treatment or
silent treatment. Like, and I'm keeping my silent treatment. She's the one that ends up giving up. Like, you want some food?
Always the moms, because they think they so big and bad. Like, sis, you need me. Stop. You need me.
But me and my dad, I end up going downstairs like, hi, Papi, how are you? I'm always the one that ends up giving in. But I feel like most of the time, it's not saying that he's right, but I just like, I could see where I could see both sides. Where you went left. Yeah. Where I went left and stuff like that. So yeah, those are the two different characteristics of like how I would want the father of my future kids to have and don't have.
Mind you, I said the last question was the last question. This is hopefully the last question. Do you want the father of your kids to treat your son different from your daughter?
No. I have this conversation over and over and over again with my man. No. They are getting the both treatment. And I know a lot of guys say like, it's impossible. It's impossible. And I think he said that it's impossible. But like, for example, if my daughter and my son start dating, I don't have any problem with them having their boyfriend and girlfriend over, right? I don't have a problem. But if they're going to have one of them want to take their boyfriend and girlfriend to their room, the other one should too. The other one can do so too.
We're keeping it 100. Yeah. We're keeping it straight because I feel like...
Door open, of course, but we're keeping it 100. Same energy. If my son can come home late at 3 a.m., and I don't want my daughter to come home at 3 a.m., we got to change the rules. It's either they both got to come home at 12.
Exactly. Unless, obviously, there's an age difference. So unless age is playing, okay. But I also feel like, especially with that whole dating situation and bringing them into the room, I just feel like when you allow your son to do that and you don't allow your daughter because you don't want your daughter to get pregnant, what you're letting your son know is if you get that girl pregnant, it's okay because it's not your responsibility. And that's the biggest thing in the Haitian community. The girl gets pregnant, your life is over because the guy can always walk away, which is very, very true. And I think also as women, we're more nurturing. So we're more likely to give up more of our life and self for the baby versus the dad, because the dad has to still go to college because they got to get a job to provide. Right. The woman can just stay home. And it's just like, my son gets a girl pregnant, baby, you are in that child's life. There is no half dad. There is no weekend dad. There is no none of that. The same way that she had to give up parts of her life to now become a young mother is the same way you're going to have to give up parts of your life to be a young father. That is not only on her. And especially because I allowed you to be in your room, to close the door, to lay in bed, to make that baby. Yeah, it's all of our responsibilities. And so I definitely agree.
On top of that, it allows your daughter to sneak out and like do things behind your back. Exactly. I'd rather whatever she gonna do that I don't like, I'd rather do it here.
Because unless you're going to do it in a car and then a cop is going to stop you. Yes. Now you're over here, public nudity. Now you're a sex offender because you fucking in the car when you could have just been out home.
Exactly. So, like, we're not. And I just want to create the space for them to talk. Like, for example, I'm as much as I say my dad's like my best friend, I'm more comfortable to actually talk to my mom, even though I know that I'm going to get a lecture. But I'll be like, yes, mom, this is how I feel. Like, when I decided to move, the person who actually knew was my mom. She knew first. Because I'm going to get I get a worse react. My dad's he reacts like over the top about anything. Like, oh, this is terrible. My mom is just like, oh, I don't like this. And she'll cry and be dramatic. But my mom's like, she's an actress. I say this so much. Haitian moms are actress. I don't know if they're real tears. And then she'll move on and she thinks that her crying makes me change my mind. No,
and it's like, no. It makes me look at you like, what's wrong with you? Like, when you cry, we're like,
oh my gosh. And that makes me feel so bad. But every time she does cry, oh my gosh, it's so bad. Because God forbid, and this is my fear. This is why I always say I don't want a daughter. Because whenever she makes me cry, she looks at me like, because when she does cry, I'm like,
are you okay?
Are you okay? What?
Like, I'm like, you really, sis, like, what's wrong with you?
And I don't mean it in the worst way, but I'm just like, Like, you
I don't
really
get it.
You know how like Haitian parents say fais jo cherche?
Yeah.
Like when you're crying
That's
for
like,
you're crying and they're like pour que ça crier, ma bonne raison pour crier. It's just
exactly.
like, you really have tears to waste? Because why?
Why? But that's what my mom be talking a lot. Like, mommy, you're getting older. Stop wasting your breath.
Right.
We don't know how many you got left.
And I think it's when they see that you're not paying attention. This is why I say they're actresses, because it's just like when they see that you're not paying attention to them tearing up, they're like, oh, okay. Back to
like, I don't know which one me to do.
Yeah.
I don't know which one me to do.
It's the most awkward situation. You know the movies when it's like, oh.
Literally, this happened yesterday. My mom was crying to me about something, and she was being dramatic, and I'm on my phone scrolling because I'm just like, I don't know what you want me, because you want me to give you a hug? Like, I don't know. But I also feel like that comes from them. Like you said, every time you're crying, oh, why are you crying? So it's like, now I don't know how to react to you because you didn't know how to react to me.
But they're not supposed to cry in front of you though. So when they end up crying, she should be like, I went into the bathroom and I cried last night. And I'm just like, I want to Yo, I'm tearing up because it's hilarious. I want to cry. I want to laugh. And I'm just like and when she says that, I'm like, then why did you cry? And she's like, she tells me.
They're not crying over anything serious. They're crying because we're going out at night.
Yes. Right? Okay, so we have to elaborate because listeners would be like, okay, you guys are terrible. No, it's literally cries because we're 28, 29 years old, 27. Living our life. We're going home, coming home at 1. They decide to cry because they're having... My mom tells me she has PTSD every Saturday night when I was living at home because I would go out and she can't sleep. So every time Saturdays would come, she would have PTSD because she is worried, which I understand. The streets are crazy, but let's not cry over that.
Let's go into some therapy. Let's get into some therapy.
Oh man,
because they don't make sense. See, we always get back talking about the moms, bro.
You gotta love them.
You gotta love them. Shout out to the dad.
We're like, I always say this, mom's biggest haters.
Yep.
I say this all the time. And people are like, why is your mom there? She's my biggest supporter, but like biggest hater and just like me living my life. Right?
Exactly.
And then I'm her biggest hater too. So.
Okay, well there you go.
So that's how it is.
Works out perfectly.
Yeah.
But anyway, guys, happy Father's Day. I hope that you guys are able to spend time with fathers, grandfathers, uncles, anyone in your life who is a male figure who has impacted you in a positive way. To those who haven't had that, and Father's Day could be rough timing for you, I apologize. I hope that you guys are able to work through it and still see the positivity in you without having that male figure in your life.
Yes, and I want to give a special shout out to all the grandfathers because without them, we wouldn't have our moms, we wouldn't have our dads. Grandfathers have a special place in our hearts. So happy Father's Day to them too.
Yes. Well, guys, until next time, see you guys. Hope maybe the next episode will be like a real catch up.
Yes.
Don't know. Probably. So we'll see. We'll see how. Oh, then this episode's coming out. Well, happy Juneteenth. This episode's coming out right before then. So happy Juneteenth, Black people. Enjoy the day off. I mean, do the most black things you can do on that day. Okay? You deserve it.
Bye, guys. We'll see you in next episode.